shy or scared, and he's going to say yes. Then a second and a third, and the next thing you know, the whole field of dentistry in this country is what? Jammed up. A bunch of inept dentists, a bunch of surgeons that really don't know what they're doing, and now the whole medical system in this country is what? Shot. It happens like that, so you definitely got to be mindful. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Khair inshallah. Any other questions, guys, before we stop? Fadl Sheikh, Bismillah. Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
2 questions. The ruling on going to a Muslim country, taking your family there, you have no job and you have no way.
Nothing tangible of way of living, okay?
And the second question is about, I saw something online about the African aid was the prophet.
I'm sorry?
The African aid was the prophet.
I didn't hear the last word. Sheikh Elias.
African aid was the prophet.
Asking?
African aid.
African?
Aid.
African Eid with the prophet?
Yeah. This came.
African Eid with Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, tayyib. As far as the first question, then it's going to differ from person to person, to be honest with you, Sheikh. You know, it's how you look at it. One man's tawakkul is another man's lack of responsibility. Our brother says, I'll be all right. Allah will take care of me. I'm going to do it. I'm going to travel. And another brother says, no, you don't have this amount of money saved up. You don't have this, you don't have that, etc., etc. You're reckless. You're irresponsible. He says, don't worry about it. We'll figure it out when we get there. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. So from one man's eyes, point of view, that's not tawakkul. That's just being irresponsible. And another brother says, Bismillah. It may work, it may not work. Me personally, I would say that the correct understanding of tawakkul is a balance. The Prophet, he put his trust in Allah and he also wore armor. The Prophet ﷺ, he tied his camel, right? And in times in which there was Bismillah in the cave, him and Abu Bakr. Period. Nothing else. Abu Bakr said if they were to look up, they were what? If they would see us. So there's a time in which I think when it comes to properly understanding tawakkul, is a tawakkul, of course, a tawakkul is always with the believer, always. Even as you make the necessary preparations, the material preparations, that is the type of tawakkul. Because the preparations could fail you or go wrong. But there's a time in which you do everything that you possibly can as a human. And then once you've exhausted your human abilities, after that is nothing more than what? Bismillah. There's nothing more I can do. So I don't think that a person should make that statement or that claim until after they've what? Exhausted what they can possibly exhaust. I tried to save up some money. I spoke to some people. I looked into this. I did my scouting. But you never know what can happen out there. So it has to be a balance. And of course there are extremes. There's some brothers who are reckless. I may be one of them, unfortunately. Are irresponsible. They don't tie their camel. And then there are those who go extreme and relying upon the material things. And they think just because they have this money saved up, just because they know this, just because they're wearing this, just because they're carrying that, everything's going to be all right. That don't mean nothing. There's no guarantee. So balance. As far as the African Eid with the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, I don't know about that. I didn't see that video. Perhaps a person is talking about African Eid with regards to cultural values, food and dress, permissible entertainment, permissible recreation on the day of Eid in an Islamic sense. Perhaps that's what they mean. Allahu alam. And of course, Islam does not infringe upon your culture. You dress how you want to dress. You eat whatever you want. You want to eat rice, you want to eat couscous, you want to eat bread, potatoes. You can eat whatever you want to eat. You can wear whatever, that's your culture. As long as it isn't something specific, and which the Prophet ﷺ clearly prohibits. And of course, we've spoken this many times before, the importance and the danger of culture. Extremely important, extremely dangerous thing. And the shaitan, he can trick many people to fall into shirk under the claim of culture. and ancestors and how my ancestors were wronged. And so next thing you know, they start calling on the ancestors. Waliyadu billah. May Allah protect us from that. How could a person be forsaken like that? You start making dua to dead people, seeking the blessings of dead people because of what these people did, or I'm running away from this oppression, or this is my true identity, my true culture, my true African culture. That's fine. No one is stopping you from eating and dressing and being aware and, whatever you call it, Afrocentric. That's tayyib. Alhamdulillah. But you start talking about ancestors and spirits and whoa, la. No way, bro. That's off limits. Shirk is nothing that is, you don't relinquish your tawheed for your culture. And the shaitan is very crafty. Very, extremely crafty. Waliyadu billah. May Allah protect us all. Fadl.
I was the first hadith that you discussed about as far as giving sadaqah to someone who may be doing something bad with the money or whatever like that. I was in a situation like that a little earlier in the week with one of my brothers, and someone walked up to me and asked for some money. And my brother tried to chase him away. He said, "Look, I know this person's a drug addict, this and that, don't give him no money." I said, "Stop him. I'm selfish. I got selfish reasons that I want to give the money." I was like, I don't really care about the person. I just want the barakah. So I want to know, is that mindset, does it diminish your blessing? 'Cause I'm like, I don't care if he set the money on fire. I want the barakah.
I just need to get it out of my hand.
That I'm going to get for my
Clear.
intention. My intention is to give sadaqah. I don't care what they do with the money.
Clear. I agree with you. And I also agree with your brother. So therefore, strike a balance. I'm not going to give him $50 or $20, whatever the case may be. He could buy, a Nick Rock, or he could buy a sandwich. That's his discretion. That's his problem. That's his issue. But I'm not going to be irresponsible in squandering money. But at the same time, just because somebody abuses drugs, it don't mean that they don't need to eat. It don't mean they don't need to get on a bus. It don't mean they don't need to buy Pampers or she may need things, a woman, whatever. A man may need a pair of socks. I'm a drug addict. Drug addicts, they have needs too. They're human beings as well. And little off the topic, I think one of the problems with our society is people criminalizing drug addicts unnecessarily. Okay, no one is promoting smoking drugs, especially crack. That's not what we're saying. But a crime, you lock that person up or you try to help them first. He's still a human. They still have feelings. They still have ups and downs. And the bitter reality, I'm sure everyone can agree with this, especially from the inner urban city. Some people, just because he's a drug addict don't mean he's not a good person. He may have a soft heart. Some drug addicts help stuff from happening. They stop crimes. They prevent children from being abused and stuff. And it's well known. Fulan in the neighborhood is the neighborhood drug addict. Handyman, do this, do that. Respectfully, listen, I got my problems, you got yours. So just because it's a drug addict doesn't mean he has no haqq. That's wrong. Just because a person is alcoholic doesn't mean he has what? No haqq. He's still a human. Let alone he's still a Muslim. So therefore, give him the money. Inshallah, you get your rewards, you get your blessings. And at the same time, don't be totally irresponsible and helping someone to clearly disobey Allah. You get what I'm trying to say? And whether it's this or that, it's going to come down to I choose, you choose. He's right from an aspect and you are right from an aspect, and we both stand in front of Allah. It's issue of discretion. I hear you, I get it, I know he's on drugs, but I'm giving this sadaqah. And that's not blameworthy. That's fine, inshallah. Wallahu alam. Khair, inshallah. Khalas. Inshallah, we'll take a few questions from online. First question is coming from Edison, New Jersey. Initials is J8. Assalamu alaikum. Can you advise me on how I can come together with my co-wife? We don't get along. To relieve stress from my overworked husband. He has to do everything twice. Well, first and foremost is look at your co-wife as a sister in Islam. She shares the same faith with you. Forget she shares the same husband with you. Forget all of that. Just try to look at her as a Muslim. You guys face the same qibla. You read the same Quran. You believe in the same prophet. You dress the same, so on and so forth. So there are different things that separate you and her, and there are many things that bring you guys together. So that's my Muslim sister. What's the ruling on me boycotting my Muslim sister, not speaking to my Muslim sister for more than 3 nights? What's the ruling of me backbiting my Muslim sister? What's the ruling of me not helping my Muslim sister? Also, your husband who's overworked, he has to do everything twice, buy everything twice, go here, do this, so he's running thin. Instead of us being together, unifying, kill 2-3 birds with one stone. Forget my overworked husband, that's my overworked brother in Islam. Let me help out my brother. My brother's struggling, so therefore I need to make the necessary sacrifices to help him out. Afterwards, number 3, if your co-wife did wrong to you, tell her, this is how I feel. Sit down, talk with her. Let it out. If you did wrong to her, apologize. Seek Allah's forgiveness. I'm sorry. Astaghfirullah. May you forgive me. I was tripping. I was angry. I was mad. I was jealous. Whatever. I was hasty. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Squash it out. Iron it out. Iron out the kinks. Right? Inshallah ta'ala. That hash it out. The beef. Right? Whatever it is. And then afterwards, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, you can have your space with closeness. And you can have your closeness with what? With space. It's just that simple. This is common ground. Our husband, if he's sick, if he's stressed out, if he's running like a wild man here to make us most happy, we're going to lose in the end. The children are going to suffer in the end. So even if I don't like you or you don't like me or whatever happened, you did this to me, let's come together for the greater good. And if not, then we shouldn't be married to him because he's suffering because of our beef. So I think that you should follow these steps. Bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, give her a gift, send an apology, tell her you love her for the sake of Allah, tell her you want to move forward. It's a new day, a fresh leaf, a new page. The past is the past. It's gone. Khalas, it's over. We can't get that back. We messed it up, but let's move forward. And be patient. Your co-wife may accept it or she may not accept it. She may be ready to move forward or she may not be ready to move forward. But you do your part, you do your job, and have sabr. And bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, one way or another, you'll come out on top. Inshallah ta'ala. And if it doesn't work out, then at least your husband will appreciate it. Hopefully. Hopefully he'll appreciate the fact that you're looking out for his best interests. And there lies no doubt that the captain of the ship, the skipper of the submarine, right? He's the most important person. The captain of the team, the coach. If he's messed up, all the players are going to be messed up. If he's not right, if he's not sleeping right, eating right, living right, if he's dealing with bickering, arguing, fighting, fussing, stupid, immature, jealousy, blah, 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 then everybody's going to suffer. And this is why I've said many times before is that a polygyny is supposed to bring the best out of the Muslim. It's supposed to. It's supposed to bring the best out you. It's supposed to force you to mature. It's supposed to force you to conquer your emotions. It's supposed to force you to be in control of your lower self, the inner nastiness and dirtiness of jealousy, of envy, of this, of that, of arrogance, of conceit, of insecurities. It's supposed to bring you to be the champion over those lower emotions. And not like those who say the exact opposite. Don't deal with it. You shouldn't get a second wife. You can't marry a man with another wife because I'm jealous, because this, because that. Okay, so therefore, leave yourself to your emotions. What growth and development does that include? It doesn't. It's stagnation, rather. You're staying where you are. You don't grow except through a challenge. And that's why the strongest nations, the most powerful nations, the most technologically advanced nations are the nations that fought the most wars. That's a fact. The nations that have been through the most military conflict are the most advanced nations because war forces development and growth. Period. That's a law of nature. If everything is peace, 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 sit back, oh, mashallah, alhamdulillah, peace, peace, no growth, no development. So that's what I would say. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala should knows best. Next question is coming from London, UK, initials HA. Can an adult female advise her father on responsibilities, or is it better to stay silent? Her father has a young daughter back home. Her mother has left her child to be taken care of by others. No, you give advice to your father, regardless of your age or your sex. Dinu Nasiha. SC from Jamaica, Queens. Sometimes people around me pray bid'ah salah, like salah tasbih. Can I act like I'm praying, but in reality not saying the Fatiha or any rukin or the salah so they think I'm praying, but I'm really not? No. Advise them. Tell them that it's haram to perform bid'ah. It's unlawful. Allah hates bid'ah. There's no good bid'ah in Islam. Tell them what they're doing is wrong. Show them why it's wrong, and then that's it. Don't fight or fuss or argue with them, and don't help them out in that bid'ah. Don't pray with them making that prayer, or anything which is incorrect and invalid in Islam. And Allah knows best. ZA from Queens, New York. Is my mother-in-law allowed to make umrah with her sister and her sister's husband? She would take one of her sons, but they don't have enough money. A woman is to travel with her mahram. If she doesn't have a mahram, she's not to travel with that male. Some scholars have allowed a woman to travel by herself. Some scholars have allowed a woman to travel with a group of other women or Hajj group. Some scholars have allowed that based off of a need and necessity. Wallahu alam. QB from London, UK. Any advice for overcoming lower self-esteem because my peers and rivals have surpassed me in dunya as well as deen? Bidnillah ta'ala, ask Allah to make you strong. Allah is Al-Qawi Al-Aziz. Allah is the most strong, the most powerful, the Almighty. So beg for strength from the one who possesses all strength. All right? That's first and foremost. Secondly is read the stories about the great champions, the great warriors, the great athletes, the great businessmen. All right? The great performers, actors, singers, whatever they are. People that have achieved worldly success. And you'd be shocked what you find about their insecurities and how they were bullied or picked on or they were the ugly ducklings. This supermodel was considered ugly in high school. No one liked her. She never had no attention from the boys. Whatever the case may be. This basketball player was the last one to get drafted. This football quarterback was the 7th round pick. You know what that is? You know what that means? A key, 7th round. Now all he does is what? He puts up his hand and what? How many rings you want? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Think about that. Just think about that. No one wanted him. No one saw any talent in him, and he became, they call him the what? Al-Ma'iz, the goat. It's interesting. So you read these stories about how these people overcame their low self-esteem, and they overcame their challenges and their stereotypes and prejudices and their family members. Okay? And one of the things I will share with you, a very, very, very successful person, is not a Muslim. And I'm not going to mention his profession, but he mentioned, from his success story is he said, I've never allowed people to determine my speed. It's like driving on a road. I'm in my lane, I'm minding my business. You go ahead, speed by. You can beep, you can flash me. I'm driving in my car at my speed. My car can't go faster. I'm tired or whatever. Go ahead. You don't got to keep up with other people just because other people are going fast or slow. They're driving too slow. I'm not driving that slow. I'm not doing 65 on a turnpike. Please. It's a turtle. I'm speeding. I'm driving fast. Not worrying about what the other person is doing. So don't allow people to determine where you should be in life. I got to be here because of him. I got to be doing this. Nah. Do what's best for you and what works for you, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. And Allah surely knows best. And what's important is that you don't necessarily have to get rid of the low esteem, but you have to learn how to conquer it. You have to learn how to put it to the side. You have to learn how to be the dominant one over the insecurity, because we all have insecurities, starting with myself. And only Allah knows my insecurities. If you knew some of them, you probably wouldn't listen to me. It's a fact. We all have insecurities, but you got to learn how to what? You got to overcome those insecurities. And Allah surely knows best. AY from Chicago, Illinois. What type of shyness is praiseworthy in Islam? All shyness is praiseworthy. There's no such thing as this blameworthy shyness. If it's considered blameworthy, then it isn't shyness. It's cowardice. It's something else. Inna al-haya la ya'ti illa bi khair. The Prophet ﷺ says shyness only brings good. Period. There's no blameworthy what? Shyness. Wallahu alam. AK, St. Louis, Missouri. Assalamu alaikum mufti. Any advice on how to deal with extreme sadness that is uncharacteristic? Read the Quran upon yourself. Read the Adhkar upon yourself. Read the stories of the prophets and the messengers. Initials are from Boston, Massachusetts. How is the Hadith-Disciple praying mantis doing? The Hadith-Disciple praying mantis, if you read about praying mantis, they don't live but so long. The lifespan is very short, right? This was maybe summer before last. We had a praying mantis. It's Hadith-Disciple mascot. Wu Chi was his name. He passed away. ZA. Queens New York. It's a true story, Sheikh. I'm dead serious. Anybody seen it online when we had it? It was the summer before last.
I remember it, but some changed mascots.
Alhamdulillah. You gotta switch up, Sheikh. ZA from Queens, New York. A woman allowed to make Hajj Umrah with organized group? We answered that question. AM from Schenectady, New York. I apologize for ending your Zoom class late. No problem. HA, London, UK. Advice on how to be consistent in ibadah. I'm a person of extremes. You got to learn how to take small steps, baby steps. You got to make paces. MS, Dallas, Texas. If a man is interested in a sister who is not Muslim, is it permissible for him to convince her to convert and then marry her? Give her dawah. Give her dawah, inshallah ta'ala. The word convince, al-muhim, give her dawah. You're killing two birds with one stone. You're getting a wife, and you're getting a Muslim wife. Alhamdulillah. Huh? Allah musta'an. I'm watching you, Akhi. What's important is give her dawah. No doubt about that. And if you guys can be married as Muslims, there's no doubt. That's what? That's better. And we know that in Philly, huh? Tabliqin, right? It's right. Tabliq that, huh? Stop. That's old school. You tabliq that joint. Am I making this something, Keith? You sure? Tabliq that. Astaghfirullah. But alhamdulillah, just think how many sisters came to Islam through tabliqin. How you enter the thing is not important, right? You don't think in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, people they entered Islam because, man, the Prophet said, didn't I tell you? Sometimes you have to be humbled. He lost on the battlefield. The Prophet, he tied the man up in the masjid. He's roped in the masjid. He asked him, what you got? Mada indaka? What do you have? Every morning he kept asking him, you did not see the light yet? That Islam is the truth, that shirk is false? You lost, you're our captive. We can kill you if we want to, when we want to. Make the decision. And the Prophet didn't force the man to accept Islam. But eventually the man, he did what? He accepted Islam. So being in a humbled state, it does what? It's like being incarcerated. Oh, you became Muslim just because you was in jail. Just to seek, but that's not true. It's not true. But being in that situation, dang, you're going to be here for a while. Think about it. You humble yourself and alhamdulillah, you become a Muslim. Or you may have accepted Islam because of fear, for argument's sake. You accept Islam for a woman, for argument's sake. That doesn't mean that your Islam is not going to grow and mature what? Later on. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Next question is coming from QB London UK. Did Imam Malik accept hadith from the people of Iraq? Imam Malik rahimahullah ta'ala was very finicky, very picky, choosy when it came to accepting hadiths. There's no doubt about that. And one of the reasons why he shunned the narrations of certain people was because of the widespread of innovations. And people lying for their innovations and supporting their sectarianism. That's a fact. Imam Malik rahimahullah ta'ala has a legacy in ilm al-jarh wa ta'dil with regards to him narrating only from thiqat, with exceptions to a few. It's not true. He did narrate from a few weak narrators. 2 to 3 narrators were weak. But the overwhelming majority of them were authentic, were trustworthy. And Imam Malik rahimahullah ta'ala, if he narrated from a man, it meant something. If he didn't narrate from a man, it meant something. What's important is the Hijaz, Mecca, Medina, and Ta'if, and Iraq, Iran, the Levant, Mesopotamia, so on and so forth. Things were different there. Purity of the Aqidah in Medina wasn't like out there. The Rafida, the Shia, etc., etc. Things were different. So Imam Malik rahimahullah ta'ala, he was very selective. SH from DC. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh wa Ikhwan al-Masjid al-Mujahideen. Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hayakallah Shams. IE from Philly. Assalamu alaikum. In knowing we can't make dua for our non-Muslim relatives that passed away, can we visit their graves? What should be the Muslim etiquette? Visiting a grave, period, is a reminder for the believer. And if you go there, you perform the sunnah of visiting the grave for dua for someone or against someone, and taking an admonition from death. Wallahu alam. MU from Syria. Please mention bid'ah ta'ala what city or town you're coming from in Syria. Jazakallah khairan. Ibn Victor. Hayakallah. AA from London, UK. Mufti, I sell beauty products for women and I need product pictures for websites and video advertisement. The females that are doing that, their hair might be exposed. Is it okay for me to use them? Stay away from that bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, whether you have to use a model, a mannequin, or some type of faceless animation. Stay away from that bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Try your best to stay away from that. SM, Brooklyn, New York. Is there sunnah prayer after the adhan for Jum'ah? And what about how many rak'ah? And do you and two and then taslim, etc. What's important is you're allowed to make prayers after the adhan before the khutbah starts, but without a specific number. You pray what Allah allows you to pray without a specific intention. There is no specific sunnah before Jumu'ah. There's no specific sunnah for Jumu'ah. If you want to make 2 rak'ah, 4, 6, 8, al-muhim, you pray. And when the imam comes in, the adhan is made, you stop your prayer. And the general rule of making voluntary prayers is that it's best to salam out every 2 rak'ah. And if you want to make 4 altogether, that's fine. Or 3 at night, witr, that's also what? Fine. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Question is coming from the same initials. Brooklyn, New York City. What advice do you give to the youth for graduating high school and balance between deen and dunya? Should they study overseas in Medina or should they pursue their degree in college? Depends on the person. Everyone isn't made to be a student of knowledge. Everyone isn't built for it. But those who are, they should do it, rather they must do it. Somebody has to seek the knowledge. We can't all be ignorant. Someone has to go get the ilm and bring it back to Brooklyn, to Philly, to Chicago. Someone has to bring it and Americanize the ilm, the authentic ilm, translate it into English, and English culture is what I mean, Americanizing it. Giving the people the authentic sunnah in a way that they can understand it in their culture. Someone has to do that. Wallahu alam. Initials I sent from Brooklyn, New York. How can I memorize Quran and become a hafiz? What is the best method to review? We did playlists on that. We have courses on how to be a serious student of knowledge. SMUK is asking the dead to pray for Allah, is asking the dead to pray to Allah for one's need, shirk. Calling upon someone or something that has left this world and that cannot hear you, asking for them things that no one but Allah has the ability to do is shirk akbar. There's no question and there's no doubt about that. Wallahu a'lam. YA from Philly. Assalamu alaikum. Sheikh, what is the rule on celebrating birthdays? Haram, nakul, barakallahu fiqh. I wouldn't celebrate my birthday. I would not advise you to celebrate your birthday. If you want to celebrate your birthday for real, celebrate death being closer to you. Just think about that, how scary that is. Every tick of the clock is one step closer to the grave. That's a piece of you leaving, never ever to come back. So people talk about birthdays, is it halal, is it haram, is it imitating the kuffar? There's no proof for that. It was a Roman or a Greco polytheistic practice, but it's different now, and etc., etc., etc. What do people do on their birthdays? Let's go out and drink. Have fun. Let's go, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? That's what the average person does. Those who are Muslims, who aren't into drinking and smoking and chasing women and so on and so on and so forth. Okay, what do they do on their birthday? Laugh, joke, eat, have fun, make fun, take selfies, blah, 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 post pictures online. What benefit is it that you're a year older? So for argument's sake, looking at your birthday as a special day, as an important day, that should be in a spiritual aspect. I'm another year Muslim, alhamdulillah. I survived COVID pandemic, alhamdulillah. Still Muslim. I'm not hooked on this drug. I'm not shot out. I still have on my hijab. I ain't shaved my face. I'm still Muslim another year. Let me celebrate that. And most importantly, let me get my act together. Because every year that I'm older, Allah has cut off another excuse for me. But that's not what the average Joe does. What is what? With his birthday. So just that's food for thought. If it was a special day, what do you mean by special? So people who promote and they champion the birthday, oh, it's not haram, so on and so forth, they're not looking at the effects of it. And the same applies to the Prophet ﷺ's birthday, alayhi salatu wasalam, our beloved Prophet, that we love more than ourselves. And we ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to make us worthy followers of the Prophet ﷺ. We ask Allah to give us the necessary courage to do what we need to do for the Prophet. And if we were ransomed for the Prophet, for us to go willingly to be ransomed for the Prophet ﷺ. But on the Prophet's birthday, what do people do? Do they benefit from the seerah? Do they learn anything from his sunnah? Do they get closer to Allah? What's meant by we love the Prophet, so let's celebrate his birthday? Saying that the birthday being haram that's Wahhabi, that's extreme, that's this. All right, no problem. But what is the fruit of celebrating the Prophet's birthday? For real, for real. What do you get out of it? Do you get closer to Allah by celebrating his birthday? You don't. You're not doing no extra sunnahs. You're not reading no extra authentic hadiths. You're not getting closer to Allah. You're just saying celebrate the Prophet's birthday. So the point is that there's the surface and then there's the core. And many fatwas, people who make their own fatwas, they're only on the surface, the film on top of the water. Let's really get down to the nitty gritty. Let's say it's okay to celebrate the Prophet's birthday, but based off of what? What are you doing with the Prophet's birthday? Your own birthday, drinking, eating, laughing, sleeping, having fun. Versus this is a special day that I want to commit moving forward to the hereafter. Not saying that that's lawful, but you get the point I'm trying to make. And Allah surely knows best. We'll stop here. Sallallahu alaihi wa sallam, mubarak ala abdi wa rasulih nabiyina wa imamina Muhammad.